Okay, this is session 3 of World of Dungeons Ravenloft. I want to begin by just I think I want to begin by introducing a little more completely our brand new character joining us, the replacement character after Derek's character was killed last session in the first roughly hour of in-fiction time. So, and then I want to talk a little bit about flags, and then we'll get going. So, Derek, have you taken some time to think about your character a little bit more here, or?
Just a little bit more. So, like I said last time, he's a lean, kind of wolfish, stringy, not overly muscular, but obviously carries himself with ease. Type person who, based on his equipment, you might guess is a fighter. His occupation, he's a bounty hunter who was hired to look for Follower, my previous character, in order to hunt him down and bring him in. And he's just now discovered that Follower is dead, and he kind of needs proof that he is dead and not alive out there, but is a little afraid of going into the vampire house by himself.
Awesome. And what flags have you chosen for this character, whose name is Krush?
Krush, yeah, sorry, I didn't say that. So my flags are attempt to reassure someone so I can make it clear how dangerous I am. Like I said, wolfish kind of hunter, always ready to pounce. And then tell someone else about my exploits. He's a braggart who has maybe a mild celebrity, but not like a really famous person.
Okay, good. Speaking of flags, just everyone be cognizant of them. That big portion of your XP reward comes from that. The best way to hit a flag, I think the best way to hit a flag is to just call for a scene where you are going to try to hit the flag. You get the experience for hitting someone else's flag, right? So just kind of be aware of that. Does anybody have any questions about anything before we get going, either in terms of like hit points or anything like that? A lot of you are like pretty hurt right now. So, and you're about to encounter something based off our cliffhanger. So, yeah, if there's any questions, I'll answer them now, but otherwise we'll just get going.
Do we need to rest to level up?
You do, yeah. And you may have a chance after this scene. We'll kind of see how that goes. So, and then let's see what else. Okay, cool.
I had a quick question.
Sure, go for it.
So armor, is that just like straight up damage reduction?
Yep, it just reduces it just reduces your, like, however many points of armor you have, it reduces the hit by that amount. So.
Okay.
Does that recall correctly? If I recall correctly. Let's see here. I've got the rules in front of me, so we can confirm that real fast. Pretty sure that's what it is, though. All right. Let's see here. Yeah. Armor. Yeah, I think that's what it is. I'm not finding it right now at the moment, but just going by Dungeon World, that's what it does in Dungeon World. So we'll go with that. So you guys were in the house of the Burgomaster, the formerly alive Burgomaster, who was, who's now dead, and you spoke briefly with his daughter, Irina Kolyana. Some of you were there originally answering the letter from the Burgomaster suggesting that his daughter Irina was in some kind of trouble. And you got a little bit of the story. It seems like for a number of nights they were enduring these supernatural attacks, right? These attacks by these supernatural creatures at night, and that was eventually too much for the Burgomaster, and he died of, we were guessing, a heart failure or something like that. And he's been dead for about 10 days. And during the course of those 10 days, Count Strahd has been visiting Irina, and on 2 occasions has fed from her. Okay. And so we got that little bit of the story. And then we saw in the background the zoomed out shot in the background, right? The blurry shot in the background. We saw the Burgomaster's body surrounded by candles and things. We saw him just sit up. And so let's get a roll for your party going real quickly. Get that here. I don't remember what the name of the last one was. I don't think I saved it, but let's use this one. Typically causal mantis. I'm going to roll the die of fate to see if this is a pleasant visit from her dead father or an unpleasant visit from her dead father, or a mix of the two. I'm going to warn you, if it's a low result, you guys are fucked. So pray for a high result. Here we go. Not bad. It's a 4. I want to go around the table and find out what you each do as soon as what your reaction is, either what you're thinking or what your action is going to be upon seeing him just like rise up. Like, I think the first person to see him, we'll say it's Goro. Goro, what do you do?
I pull out my holy symbol and try and prevent him from attacking us.
Okay,
I don't
good.
think we're in any condition to fight him.
Yeah. What about you, Karash?
I see Goro immediately go for his holy symbol, and I look up and say, "Isn't he supposed to be dead?"
Nice. What about you, Polly?
The walls are all, the windows are all boarded up, right? But there's still big curtains hanging down.
Yep.
I'm slipping off into the shadows,
Nice.
hiding in the curtain, peeking out, and keeping my eye on Irina. Is she surprised at this?
Yes, she screams as soon as she realizes it. What about you, Stosh?
Yeah, I guess I just kind of back up, groan, and just start to visibly sweat. And I have the sword in one hand and the axe in the other.
Nice.
Just ready.
Ivor?
I take out my 2 daggers and I go to stand by Goro, who seems to be kind of moving to the front and trying to draw its attention.
Indeed.
So if it's not going to respond to the holy symbol, it may respond to daggers.
It gets up on unsteady, shaky legs. It's had 10 days to rot in a warm room surrounded by candles, right? And the flesh is not quite sloughing off the bone, but it has a sort of waxy yellow color to it. And as it sort of lurches forward, with each lurching movement, you can see like the skin on his face kind of like it kind of shifts and sags a little bit, and just a bit of the socket, a bit of the glassy eyes are kind of revealed, right? And Goro, you're holding your holy symbol forth, and it stops. It doesn't go. Like, you're able to hold it at bay. I'm not going to make you roll for that. And it turns to give a sideways glance at Irina. It's a tragic moment. You get the impression that he recognizes Irina and that there's love there. be really touching if not for the disgusting pus coming out of his face and the rotting meat, right? She just screams and cries and like turns. She doesn't, and she kind of like turns because she can't face him. And then he turns to address all of you and he says, below, weapon. And then he just collapses, hits the ground hard, kind of like a water balloon, some viscera and shit come out and kind of splatter at your feet. The scene is yours.
If he was under a sheet or something before he sat up, I'm gonna pull the sheet back over his body and close the door.
Yeah, if nothing else, you could probably grab a moldering old tapestry and throw it over. Right.
I'll grab the tapestry I'm hiding behind and yank it down and bring it over to you.
And then I go over to Arena and I'm like, that must have been unpleasant, but I'm sure you know by now that nothing stays dead in this town anymore.
She looks at you and she kind of grabs your shoulders and she says, please, I can't stay here. I can't stay here anymore. But I'm not going to run. Do you understand what I'm saying? I'm not going to run.
Are you saying you want to fight?
Yes. I want to go. I want to rid myself, my family, this entire village, these lands of Count Strahd. Will you go with me?
Well, it seems we may not have known what we were signing up for, but that was our purpose in coming here. What say you, comrades?
I'm very
Shaking
interested to hear what
his
Kurosh
head
has to say.
Well, I mean, I've already been promised the gold of the Burgomaster if I help rid this land of this Strahd. So I'm in, but I mean, what is this weapon that he's talking about? Do you have any ideas?
Irina says, my father often spent time down in the basement. I was never allowed down there with him, but he made references to things in the basement that might be of help to us in the final battle. I'm sure that's what he was talking about. I'm sure that's the message he meant to convey to us.
I'm a little suspicious because she just told us that her father was dead and we just saw him get reanimated. So is she about to lead us into some kind of trap? Is there any kind of
You can roll plus wisdom. You can roll plus wisdom. Do you have an applicable skill by chance?
I have tracking
Yeah.
and athletics, so no.
Yeah. Just roll and see how it goes.
That is an 8.
She's not lying.
Actually a 9, but same.
She's not lying. I'll tell you that. Believe her.
Okay. In that case, well, could you show us to this basement? I mean, don't you all think it's worth checking out?
We should check out this basement.
Yeah, I'm in.
Yeah.
She will take you, she'll kind of take you towards the rear of the house. There's like what is basically kind of like a little mud room, I guess. And there's a trap door on the floor. She flips the latch open, and you guys could raise it up. And there is a wooden ladder that goes down. She says, go find whatever my father was referring to. I will go gather some things for us upstairs, and we'll meet. We'll meet, and we will go up. We will go up tonight if you will join me and destroy Count Strahd.
Well, I'm kind of feeling the need for maybe taking a little bit of a breather.
She's ready to go. You might have to convince her.
Yeah. Yeah, we've already had our own run-ins with his minions. I assume that's who they were. And several of us are not feeling so well.
They're part of his
Especially
terrible wake, if nothing else, right? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You guys can discuss that amongst yourselves, but she's gonna go. She's going to like get stuff ready. She doesn't want to spend another night there. She heads up.
I don't blame her.
Yeah. Well, so what do you guys do?
Well,
I at least want to know what's in this basement, but I think I'm gonna, before anyone goes down there, like once she has walked upstairs, hold up a finger to my mouth and listen very carefully and try and sense if there's anything unalive down there.
Yeah, you have awareness, right?
I do.
Yeah, so we'll go ahead and roll. So you can't get a miss because you have awareness, but
All right.
all you get is a hard 7 to 9.
Did it roll? All right. Well, I got a hard 7 to 9.
Yeah, okay. I'm gonna roll the die of fate just to get the basic disposition for this basement area. Okay, it's a 4. Not too bad. I'll let you ask one question. And the
Is
hard
there
part
anything-
is I might like add a little extra information to it. So.
Yeah. Is there anything that's going to attempt to harm us if we go down there?
You don't hear or see anything moving down there.
All right.
The vagueness of my answer is your hard result. I did not answer yes or no. Take note.
We'll only take harm from unmoving things, perhaps. Okay.
Who's going on first?
Yeah. I'm not going to volunteer.
Out of character question.
Sure.
Having gone down to 0 last time and been revived.
Oh, you can reroll now. Yeah, you can reroll.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was the question.
Yeah, just reroll your hit dice and keep a number equal to your level. And that becomes your max and current HP.
Right. Okay, thanks.
Yeah, whenever you receive healing of any kind or aid of any kind, like you get to reroll your hit points. So. All right. So who's going first?
We can go first.
All right, Stosh. Stosh, hero of the Vampire Den.
I know that was
that was Ivor. I
Yeah.
don't want to speak for Stosh.
Oh, I'm sorry. That was Ivor talking. Oh, my bad.
Yeah.
Ivor, you were a hero of the Vampire Den as well. It's okay.
Yeah. He's a pretty skinny little wizard.
So you're going down first. It's just a single flight down, basically on this ladder. Not too far, not even 12, 15 feet. And with the ambient torchlight from above, as you go down, you can see you're in some sort of storage. There might be a couple of you'll see a couple of built-in shelves along the walls that have dusty bottles of mead and wine and things like that, right? And a couple of crates in the corner. You don't have a full view of the space though, unless you light up a torch for me or something. Or have someone pass something down, which you can easily do. Somebody can grab a candle or something. It's no big deal. Assuming you do that.
I put a dagger away and ask for a candle. Yeah,
that's fine. You get a better sense of the room. It's probably, it's a good, probably 15 by 15 feet, square room. There's built-in shelving, crates, things piled up, as I've mentioned. at a glance, you're not sure what zombie Burgomaster was talking about. But what would you do once you get down there? How would you look around, or what would you try to figure out?
Well, first I'm going to send the all clear signal up.
You send everybody else down.
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, Stash would definitely follow once he gets an affirmative from you.
Good.
Polly.
Yeah, so once people start getting down, I want to start taking a look at those racks of mead and wine bottles. Are those like on a rack, or are they?
So it's like built-in shelves, and then like some of the wine bottles are like actually in like little wine holders. Yeah, so
Right.
others just like mead bottles standing upright, right? Jugs and things like that.
Well, what is a more traditional place for a secret door than behind a rack of wine bottles?
There's literally nothing. So,
Yeah,
it is the most traditional.
Yeah, other than the bookshelf.
Yeah.
I'm gonna start taking.
I'm not even going to make you roll. You've
Okay.
deduced it. There is in fact a on the far wall, as you enter the very far wall, there is. You see it. The wall behind this particular shelf is different. It's not made of the same material. It's made of it's made of wood, whereas the rest is made of stone, right? And you even find a catch that will cause the rack to kind of like slide to the left a little bit. So.
All right, so I'm gonna once I've got Polly and Stash behind me, I'm gonna open that, and then sort of be ready for anything that comes out.
All right. Before when you start to move to open it, Polly's hand reaches up to your shoulder, and he pushes in front of you and starts looking closely at the joint between the door or sliding wall and the stonework. He's just looking around, patting his hands along the side.
Indeed. Roll plus wisdom for me.
8 plus 0, 8.
The wood. This wall is actually made of wood. The rest is made of brick, right? Or stonework. This wood piece, it's just a panel. You can use your dagger or any other kind of like wedge to like just pop it out and slide it past. And behind it, there's now more stonework. And built into the stonework, there's a safe built into the wall. What do you do?
Oh.
And the safe is it's at eye level. And it's about like 3x3 square. So.
I should have glanced back at my friends, make sure that they're standing back a little bit. And I look, it's probably not a combination lock. It's some sort of keyhole.
Yeah, put a key in and
right? Yeah. All right. Well, we don't have a key, do we?
Not offhand. Not at this precise moment.
Maybe Irina has the key, or
she is the most likely.
Could it be on the corpse?
That's what I'm thinking.
Do we? I look at Polly. I was like, do we need a key?
I give you a toothy grin. Probably not. And I look back at the lock and start. I've in my maybe tucked in behind my ear. There's a little pin that I pull out and pull out some other things and start clicking away at it.
Yeah. Give me a dexterity test or roll dexterity. Stakes here are, you could lose your lockpicks, you could break them, that kind of thing. It could be trapped. Who knows?
Got a total of 12.
Nice. I'm just going to say what happens. It's nothing too complicated. There is a trap. It's a little gas capsule that will like blast you with poisonous gas. You can disable that and open the lock. As a bonus, you can actually keep the poison gas capsule.
Oh, nice.
And the safe is open. Inside the safe, there are two things. The first is a sack of silver, and you know it because there are a few silver coins just outside the sack, laying on the floor of the safe. And there is also there's like a little bundle, like a little velvet. It looks almost like a bedroll, little velvet bedroll type thing.
I'll take the velvet bedroll and pass it back to Stosh. And then take the silver and pass it back to Ivor.
Indeed. I'm going to roll for the silver real quick. Good silver haul, 600, actually.
Wow.
Divide that up at some point. Stosh, do you unfurl the bundle, the little roll?
Yeah, I'll kind of look at Polly for like approval. Like I'll start to, and then I'll just make eye contact and just kind of ask non-verbally, is it okay if I open this?
I look at it confused for a second when you do that, and then I realize I've given things to the wrong person. I point the package over to Ivor to look at, and the coins back to you.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense to Stosh. So I hand the bundle over to Ivor, and yeah, I'll hold the coins for him.
I was pretty curious about that bundle, but
Yeah.
I very publicly sort of not just like so everybody can see. I just unfold it,
Mhm.
Kind of slowly to make sure nothing just kind of tumbles out.
Yeah.
My main concern is just losing anything that's wrapped up in there or breaking anything that's wrapped up in there.
Yeah, no, great. As you roll it out, it's actually like it rolls out flat to be about pretty good length, actually, about 4 or 5 feet. And it is sewn with like lots of little pockets, and tucked inside these pockets are a number of like things that will aid you in your trek up to the mountain. Right. This is almost certainly something he intended to give somebody. I don't know. Maybe at one point he did intend for somebody to help out with the fight. Maybe he collected these things. Who knows? But let me just get the full list here. I'll type it in the chat too, so you guys can keep track of it that way. But there are there are 6 polished silver stakes. They are very like polished, even a little ornate, inscribed with symbols and things. Silver stakes, just kind of tucked in there. You can divide those up as you wish, or you guys can keep them all on the roll. It's up to you. There are 3 bottles of holy water. There is 3. There are 3 healing potions. Stakes, 3 bottles of holy water, 3 healing potions, and 3 sets of rations as well. You find yourself not able to get natural food. So you guys can divide those things however you wish. Just let me know if you're going to keep them all together or if you're going to divide them up.
Dividing them up seems like a good idea. Who knows who's going to need to stake a vampire?
Yeah, especially the stakes, possibly also the holy water.
I think I already have a vial of holy water, but it might be good to spread the others around.
Okay.
Yeah, I think Stash would definitely want a steak, but probably be last in line for holy water.
I think if everyone takes a steak and someone takes 2, who should take 2?
Most likely to be alive at the end.
Well, that depends on who gets the healing potions.
So yeah, you guys just make some decisions.
We'll let everybody else make decisions. I really kind of want to take a look at the symbols on those silver stakes, though, and see if those sort of suggest anything to me historically.
Interesting.
Or secret society wise, or
Yeah, interesting. Let's see here. You have lore, so that'll be very helpful here. Go ahead and roll.
Okay.
Intelligence.
Right. Pull those dice over. That is an 8.
8. I had not thought of anything in particular for the symbols out of character, so I'll leave it on you. You can tell me one interesting or useful detail about the symbols, and it'll be fiction. Go for it. If you have a minute, or you can think about it for a minute and then tell me later.
Would it be fair to say this is the strongest indicator of the type of undead we're dealing with, or the type of evil entity that Strahd is?
Oh, sure. Yeah. If what you want is like in character confirmation, you're dealing with vampires. That sounds great. Yeah, you can have
Right.
that.
Okay.
The symbols of an order of vampire hunters. Perfect.
Right. Right.
Yeah. Absolutely. He is a powerful vampire.
Yeah.
First vampire.
Yeah. Wow.
Might even belong to an order of like people who, I mean, maybe this order was hunting the first vampire, and maybe you put 2 and 2 together, right? Like,
Right.
you know, kind of make like, why would this be here if not, you know? So.
The whole stakes made of silver, vampire hunter order.
Yeah.
So I share that. I give a little of the history to Stash and Polly while they're down there, and anybody else listening in, and say this suggests something about what Strahd really is.
Crush. How important is it that you get physical evidence of your praise, death? Like, how important is that?
So at this point, I mean, I'm being promised a lot more money for
you got
going up to
you got a
Strahd.
good payday just now, right? I mean,
Right.
assuming they give you some of this money. I mean, like, you're there. I don't know, like, whether they feel compelled to give you any of the money or not, but just, you know, we'll just to keep it all, you know, whatever. I don't think they're gonna like make a big deal about it right now, but no, but like this promises a pretty good payday. I think you're right. I mean, just in this basement, you know.
Right. And I think, you know, Falur was more of a bail jumper, skipped out on a fine,
Right,
something
yeah.
like that.
Yeah,
So I'm and seeing how beat up Stosh, who looks like a pretty beefy guy, is like,
Yeah.
and hearing their stories, I'm not too tempted to go back into that house.
Fair enough. At a certain point, Irina will come down or come to where you're all at, and she'll say, and she's now dressed like for travel. Okay, so she's got like traveling leathers on. She has a rapier on her hip. She has a small pack, and she's ready to go. And she says, "So what was down there? Something that would be useful to us against the enemy?"
I set up what we found for her. We'll look to the others to talk.
We can only speculate at what will be effective against such a powerful entity as Strahd, but perhaps your father had done some research. Hopefully these will be useful.
She counts out the stakes if you show them to her, and she'll say, "Huh, perfect." And she grabs one. So that problem is solved. And she kind of puts it on her hip, or in a little belt loop or whatever. And she says, "Well, let us make haste. There's no better time like the present, so let's do it."
Well, I would like to suggest a better time. Maybe perhaps 10 minutes or so from now. If we could all just sit back and rest a minute. It's been a very busy day ever since we've crossed the border into this land.
She's like, yes. I see. Yes, I saw you go across the way. I heard the noises. How foolish of me! Of course. You need food. You need to rest. You need to that. Yes, absolutely. But we cannot stay here.
Fair enough. Is there someplace we can stay?
We can go to the church. Let's go to the church. We'll go to the church. We'll leave a note for my brother. And the church is a sanctuary, a true sanctuary against these dark attacks.
I like the sound of that.
Yeah. So, is there anything else you guys want to do in the manse here?
There's something I want to do in the mansion, but I do want to try and persuade the party to stop by. What's her name? Mad Mary's.
Yeah, we still haven't resolved the Mad Mary situation, have we? Yeah, you're possibly your mother, right?
Possibly.
Yeah, I mean, it's still. I mean, like by the time you get done with grabbing all that stuff and everything, it's still probably only like just barely getting to be sundown. Like it's still fairly early, right? You guys can go to the church, rest for a couple hours, get a breather, and then make your way up, right? So if you want to slip off at any point during that time, I think that would probably be okay, unless you want the party to come with you.
Yeah, I can leave the party behind. That seems totally safe.
At night.
If it's still light out, I think if it's dark out, I wouldn't do that by myself.
It's still it's still a faint gray glow out, so yeah, you should be okay.
Yeah, I'll see if I can make it over there and then back to the church by dark.
Yeah. Well, so I'll just go around the table. We know what Goro's doing. What about everybody else? Karash, anything else you want to do before you guys head out?
Yeah, I think I want to check. How has Strahd been getting in and out, like, to feed on Irina? If I can figure that out. I do have tracking. I know this is indoors, but
yeah, I'm into it. Yeah, go for it. Roll wisdom, I guess. Meanwhile, we'll get that on the table. Polly, what about you?
I don't have anything I want to do in the manse here.
Sounds good.
But I
what about
might
you, Stosh?
Might follow.
Sorry. Okay, Stosh.
I'm also nothing here in the manse, but I do want to offer Goro. This might be a good chance to hit my flag. He could ask me to come with him, and then I can refuse.
I like that. Yeah, we can have that scene. That's good. What about you, Ivor?
I think once we get to the church, I'd like to start setting up for a small ritual.
Okay, sounds good.
Once we get to sort of an area that might be set aside for ritual purposes.
I love it. All right, good. Let's go ahead and mark XP for the manse. Actually, let's have that scene first between Stosh and Goro. Then we'll do it.
All right. So, Polly, do I know that you're coming with me?
Probably not.
Okay. So Stosh and I came here together, so I'll go over to him and be like, Stosh, I have one other errand to run before we leave this town. My I've been seeking my mother for a long time, and I've had word that she traveled to Barovia. So that is the name of this place, right? Barovia.
Yeah.
And maybe in this very town. You've heard the wailing, I'm sure.
It's hard to miss it. Yeah.
Will you come with me? I'm afraid she may no longer be what she once was.
Well, I mean, if that's the case, like, why? What do you possibly hope to gain from that?
Closure, perhaps. Perhaps if she's still only partially turned, or perhaps just a victim of this place, I can help her.
I don't know. Just from what I've seen of this place, it seems. I don't think you should do it. I can't do it, and I don't think you should. The risk is just too great. Unless you can get everyone to come with us, but I'm not so sure that's a good idea either. I mean, you saw what happened in that house.
Yes, of course you're right. I can't ask anyone else to go into danger, not in the condition we're in. I'll have to go alone, I guess.
Yeah, and I guess Stash doesn't really respond to that verbally, but he does just kind of avert his gaze. He won't meet your eyes at this point. And he just kind of looks down.
Nice. And your question here in the chat, Kurosh, is what is Strods' preferred form of travel? Good question. As you are searching for like how he could have possibly gotten in, because indeed the windows are boarded up and things, you'll notice around the frame of the windows, particularly near like near fine cracks or gaps with the outside, you'll find like a red residue, like a pinkish red residue, almost like something seeped in, right? And so, and you can even find traces of that to Irina's bedroom, indicating that it's almost like a trail he left, right? And Irina claims that she never physically saw him until he was upon her. So he must be able to change into some kind of other form or something like that. So.
Okay.
Some kind of, we'll just like out of character, it's like a mist, right? Like a vampiric mist.
Right, yeah.
So, good. Let's go ahead and mark XP for this area. I'm going to do a quick calculation. You each get 295. Okay. So you leave the manse. Irina is going to the church with you, Ivor, and Stosh. The church, if we look at the image board, you can kind of get a sense of where the church is. The little map there. It's basically like up in the kind of like northerly corner there, what's noted as E6, right? So we'll talk about the church in a minute. And Goro is going to Mad Mary's with Polly behind secretly. That's good. Mad Mary's boarding house. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
About a couple blocks after we leave the group, I will come out and catch up to Goro.
Okay, so you just didn't want the rest of the group to know what you were doing.
Yeah.
Okay.
I tug on Goro's robes and Goro, I wanted to talk to you. I wanted your advice. As a priest of is it Aket?
Atar.
Atar.
Of course.
I feel bad. Falur died back there, and I feel terribly guilty. Just before we went into the house, I gave him the evil eye. And then he died.
You say? What exactly do you mean by that?
He was going to kill that child, and I thought it was cruel, and I put my eye upon him. I told him I was watching him. I feel like I'm responsible. I want to make amends.
Of course. Your guilt is understandable, although you must understand that his decisions were his own, and the creatures in there, evil eye or no, were ferocious and dangerous enough to kill any of us. But your intentions matter, and making amends for them does matter. And I pull out a little whip, and I say, tonight before you rest, flay yourself 10 times in the back with this, and that will be your penance. Do it in the name of Atar, and he will see your penance and forgive you.
Out of character, I will tell you that if you do that, you will not get to reroll hit points.
Oh, well.
But you will be. But you will be penanced. So.
All right. I've got to make peace.
Of course you do.
I'll take the little whip and hold it in my hands and say, Atar, and put it away and scamper along with you.
Good. I'm going to cut away to Kurosh. One thing you might be interested in is, since you did technically just arrive in Barovia, the merchant Bildrath is open. So if you wanted to buy anything or spend your coin, you could do that. And so that's just a thing. Everybody else already did it. So,
Right.
Well, actually, Ivor, I guess did not either. But so Ivor, there's also a merchant who's available.
Yeah, that would be really good.
His prices are 3 times whatever is listed on the rule book, but he has it all. So, and yeah, so if you guys want to do that, you need to do that. Like you would want to do that before the night truly falls. So just let me know if you're doing that. And but you can just buy it like in between, like on the break or whatever. But just knowing that you stopped by there is enough for me for now. I'm not going to RP the scene with Bildrath. He's an interesting character, but I'm not going to go through that again. The church. Once you get that all sorted, you get to the church. And this is Stosh, Kurosh, and Ivor. Atop a slight rise against the very roots of the castle's pillar stone. So like this big mountain is like this is right at the base of the mountain where the castle is, right? Stands a gray, sagging edifice of stone and wood. This church has weathered the assaults of evil for centuries on end and is worn and weary. The bell tower hangs to one side, its sweet tone long silenced. Flickering light shines through holes burned through the roof shingles. The rafters strain feebly against their load. The church also has a little cemetery adjacent to it. And Irina's with you as well, and she will begin banging on the door. Right? And a priest comes out. He opens it. She says, Father Donovich, we need sanctuary just for a few hours. And he says, yes, come in. He's an older priest. You'll learn from Arena that he's been the priest of this chapel for forever, like for a long time. And he's kind of like hunched over, thin gray hair. Smells a little bit like wine, if I'm being honest. And but he'll gladly welcome you in. What was the nature of this ritual you were going to do, Ivor?
It is a demon summoning, so now that I know the priest is there, I'm going to be a little more circumspect about it.
You could do it. Maybe go to the cemetery, I suppose, and do it. Unless you need to be in this consecrated place. Which
I'm planning to use the consecrated place to protect me from other evil spirits that I'm not in command of.
Fair enough. So here's the thing: Father Donovich is, in an effort to protect the church, what he has to do to protect the church from the terrors of the night is he basically just like goes into a trance of prayer. He falls down on his knees at the altar and he just prays like a droning, mumbling prayer for like hours. Like he just prays. And so he's actually pretty busy as long as you do your ritual somewhere, not right next to him. You could probably get away with it. So. But what does it look like?
Yeah, so I think I'd go into the foyer area away from the high altar. And I sketch out some circles on the floor, some concentric circles, and inscribe them with the proper runes. And then cut one of my fingers and leave a little blood with salt in the middle of the innermost circle. And then I with a chalk, I draw through the middle of the circles with a bolt of lightning, and then sketch the silhouette form of the spirit I want to summon, and it's Skara.
And what do you want Skara to do?
I want Skara to spy on Count Strahd and tell us his whereabouts at the time we set out.
Good.
So when we set out, I want her to tell us where he is and where he's headed.
Nice. Yeah. I love it. Are you doing the summoning, but just the like hour-long uninterrupted ritual summoning,
right?
Or are you doing the actual ritual move? There's like a ritual.
I'm doing the uninterrupted ritual summoning.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
Go ahead and roll plus intelligence to see how that goes.
Yeah. It is very hard for me to fail, but yet I did. I got a 6.
I love it. What is Skara's domain?
Last Discern Realities. This is really exciting.
What is Skara's
Lightning and Secrets.
Oh, good. You don't get very far into the ritual.
Okay.
Not even the full hour. And you can already tell that something's going on, something about this place. You've gotten Skara's attention, you've drawn Skara forth, but you are not having control. Those of you who are crossing town to go talk to Mad Mary, those of you who are maybe making your way back from the merchant, from Bildrath's, you will be aware of a thick black storm cloud very quickly amassing over Barovia. Okay, like very quickly. Your hair begins to stand up on your arms, and even on your head a little bit. There is electricity in the air. Those of you who are wearing metal armor, it's starting to get, well, it's starting to shock you a little bit. It's starting to be a little uncomfortable. And there's a rumble of thunder. Let's take a quick break. We'll come back in, we'll say 5 minutes. Okay. Oh, wizard. Who was intending to buy something from the merchant?
I am.
Stosh, were you?
I had
No.
I had assumed I'd already stopped by. Sorry if I had not made that clear.
Yeah, you can have, or
Okay.
at some point you can.
Okay.
It's kind of keeping it sort of abstract right now. Yeah, you can say you already did. That's fine. But you were going to go as well, correct, Crush? Okay. And Stosh, were you going straight to the church, or were you going to go shop as well?
Headed to the church.
Okay. All right. And Polly and Goro are en route to Mad Mary's. So, Kurosh, I'm going to say that just to have you all in kind of different places. It's bad for all of you, don't worry. But just to have you all in different places, Kurosh, I'm going to say that you hung back in the merchants to do a little bit of extra shopping, and now you're catching up, crossing back over to the church, right? Stosh, you're in the church. You're in the church as well, Ivor. And Polly and Goro, you guys are making your way to Mad Mary's. You're very near to Mad Mary's, in fact. I'm going to be rolling the die of fate like crazy right now. This is for, let me clear these off here. I'm going to roll a die of fate for Mad Mary's boarding house. It's a 3. Bolt of lightning, sizzle and crack, and like very loud, like a gunshot, right? Like cracks and hits the wooden boarding house of Mad Mary's, lights that sucker on fire. It's on fire. It goes up in flames. Mad Mary's wailing, moaning, crying becomes like screams of terror. Okay. Goro, what do you do? So you're muted.
I see this happen just as I'm about to.
Right. It probably knocks you back a little bit, right? And then you realize what's going on, right? Same thing with you, Polly.
And then I just shout no, and I'm looking like, is there any water around here?
I don't know. What'd you have in mind?
I don't know, like it doesn't even have to be clean water, just like a ditch or something that I could like soak cloth in to cover myself when I run in there.
Oh, sure. Yeah, maybe there's like I'm probably there's probably some kind of trough or something nearby.
Like
yeah.
Drainage ditch along the side of the cobblestones or something. So
Yeah,
I dunk. I think I just like pull a section of my cloak off and dunk it in there and wrap it around my face and just like look for an entrance that I can bust in and try and pull somebody out of there.
Nice. You just rush in there and do it. Give me a con roll to see if you can go in there and save someone at all. Please get a miss. Please get a miss. Please get a miss.
Sorry, it's a 9.
That's okay. You're going in. Great. Polly, what are you doing? Oh, you're muted, Polly.
Goro, you've told me why we're going here, to find Mad Mary and about your mother and all that.
I assume that was a yes. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
On the way over.
Yeah. So I feel bad. This screaming seems to be coming from the upper floors, and there's no time for this water thing. So I'm scaling the outside
Of the burning building.
Yeah.
That's pretty intense. Give me a con roll. See how that goes.
10.
Nice. You'll be able to like scamper up and get up to the top floor, no problem. And sounds like you're going into the bottom, Goro. No problem. That's all great. Kurosh, you're making your way across the yard, and the hair on your arms begins to stand up. You can feel your hair like lifting up off your head, assuming you have hair on your head. I don't know if you've described it that way.
I think
But
so.
you feel the tingle, right? Nothing else. I'm going to roll a die of fate for you. And it passes. You're able to run quickly to the church to safety. Stash, outside of the church, you hear like powerful winds are whipping up around the church, right? Like the trees, you even hear like the crack of a tree in the cemetery being like uprooted by a powerful localized windstorm, right? Does not sound good out there. Just curious if you have any idea, like, do you know that this is Evor's responsible, or are you just, there's like...
I would assume I'm clueless.
Okay.
Ivor went to do his thing, and I've just kind of been wandering around, just
Fair.
checking out the church.
Fair enough. Fair enough. I'm rolling the die of fate for you as well. It's a 2. You are maybe, like you're there. There are like glass windows on either side of the main sept of the church, right? Like big, stained glass windows. And you hear this ripping, cracking sound, right? And a tree just smashes through one of these windows and goes flying right at you. What do you do?
I think I'm just gonna try and just kind of jump and roll out of the way. Yeah.
Nice. Roll plus dexterity.
All right. Ooh, that's a miss. Yeah, 4.
That's gonna hurt, I fear. Gonna hurt. Tree flies at you, smashes into you, does a D8. You get armor though, so.
Okay. All right, so I would take 1, I guess.
Oh, nice. Good for you.
Armor.
Good. Ivor. Skara was the name of your demon spirit?
Yes, yeah.
You are there in the middle of your circle or whatever, and this is happening so quickly. You hear the cracks of lightning. You see the shattered glass. You see the tree fly in at Stash. You see, Kurash like desperately like rushing into the church and slamming the door shut. Right, like that. That's all kind of going on, and you feel invisible hands. I should also say, during all of this, Father Donovich is on his knees in the altar thinking that this is like Strods' power, and he's like clutching his hands tight at the altar. There's an altar, there's a big round stained glass window at the end where he's at, right, that depict one of the gods, and he's there, and he's like, save us, please, I beseech you, save us. And you feel a pair of hands, alive with electricity, crackling with electricity, grab the back of your head and move and position your head so you have to look at Father Donovich, forcing you to look at Father Donovich. The glass of the large round thing there, the large stained glass near Father Donovich shatters, and dozens of shards like fly out at him and cut him to ribbons. And then out of the hole in the glass, of the hole in the wall, a bolt of lightning cracks inside and in a sustained way just burns Father Donovich, just fries him to a crisp. Father Donovich collapses, burnt, practically cremated, into a pile of ash, and all is calm. Meanwhile, back in the burning house, Polly, you get up to the top. Okay, you're up there, and the fire is all around the room, right? Like it's consuming the room. I'm gonna roll die of faith real quick. Just want to kind of get a sense of how bad this is going to be. Five, not too bad. There is a woman on the bed. She's laying there, and she's just screaming, but she's like terrified. Like she doesn't know what to do. She doesn't even seem to see you, in fact, but she's just laying on the bed as the fire is like forming around her bed, kind of like, it's almost like her bed is a pyre, right, about to go up. And she's laid out, as if being sacrificed to the gods, right? What do you do?
There's nothing to do but quickly grab her and tear her off of that thing.
Yeah.
I would love to calm her, but there's no time.
No, there's no time. Give me a strength roll.
Three.
Oh. I'll give you a choice. Very hard choice. You can save her, but you go straight to last breath in the doing. Or you watch her go up in flames.
I don't know this woman.
The day heroism died. You realize very quickly that she's like, the fire is just it's too thick already, and you can't quite get to her, and you just smell burning flesh. Like it smells kind of like bacon, actually. And then just screams as the fire takes her. Down below, Goro. What was your die result, Goro?
It was a 9.
A 9. I'm gonna roll a die for you too. You got a 1.
Whew.
You rush in. Burning room. It's a lower room. It's a board. So this would be like the sort of like the floor where like the business takes place or whatever, right? And you see your mother. You recognize her. She's there. Fires are all around, and she was like screaming in terror but not running until she sees you come in. And she looks at you and she says, "You did this. You did this. You're the reason why Gertruda left me. You're the reason why I sit here in sorrow. You're the reason why and then like the fire is just kind of like dancing, licking up at her. You begin to smell her smoldering hair as it catches a little bit, right? And she says, "My only happiness right now is knowing that you're going to watch me die." What do you do? You have a chance to save her because of your die result.
I mean, I'm incredibly confused, but I feel like I also assume that she must be confused.
Right.
So I'm gonna try and forcibly pull her out.
What plus strength?
It's another 9.
You'll get her out, but you're just going to take some damage, some smoke inhalation.
Oof.
It'll be another D8. So as long as you don't roll a D8, you should be okay. But or you don't roll an 8 rather.
Should I? I believe I have 2 hit points left.
Oh, I might be looking at the wrong thing. Oh, I am. Well, don't roll higher than a 2.
Well, I got a 4.
Or what? Indeed. Hold that thought. Back at the church. The situation is it's calm. You smell crush. You smell like intense burning smell. You even saw the priest. You probably saw it as you came in, right? You saw the priest getting electrified, cut to ribbons and then electrified, right? Let's just have that scene. What's going on? Ivor, what are you thinking right now?
I think Ivor just breaks down sobbing.
Yeah.
Kurash, I mean, I think this happened just as I opened, like after I slammed the door, thought I was safe, and then so I look around. Remind me, Ivor, are you like visible?
I was in the foyer, so
Okay.
I would be especially visible to you.
Yeah.
Right, yeah. So I see the ritual, and I don't think I immediately suspect you, but it's just, oh my, was that Strods' power? What else would have that kind of power?
It was something Strahd made, but that I thought I could control.
Kurash,
don't
you will see the physical evidence of the ritual, right? Presumably there's some kind of circle or something, right, that you've drawn.
Right, there, all those chalk markings.
Right. So
And there's a lightning thing right through the center.
In case you need it spelled out for you, there's a great big
Right.
lightning bolt drawn on it.
What did you do? And this, like, I'm up in Eve, like I grab him, I'm dragging him away from the ritual space, like kicking and messing up the ritual as much as possible and slamming him up against the wall.
I just tried to call one of the spirits.
What spirits? What are you talking about?
You know what wizards do.
Well, I've
You know where our
heard
spells come from.
I've heard stories, but did you try and bind Strahd? You said it's something of Strahd that you tried to control.
It's an undead thing that I discovered through rituals, but it turns out that I suspected Strahd had been one of its masters early on. And I suspect Strahd is the one who killed it.
And now Strahd has violated this sanctuary. Do you have any idea of what this means for us?
I had no idea of the thing's power.
So,
But clearly coming close to its old master has agitated it.
is it still bound to you?
I would assume so, though it's petulant and angry.
You have to. Is there any way to lock this away so no one can use it?
To lock away a spirit? No. Spirits are loose in the world. We make covenants with them in pacts so that we can try to control the things they do.
But if this is a spirit of Strahd, if we could deprive him of this weapon and gesture emphatically to all the damage.
It's not working for him. It is simply angry that he is close at hand, I suspect. The father's chanting would have kept Strahd, anything working directly for Strahd, at bay, but
So now we we're vulnerable out here, and only the chanting of what I can guess is a true believer would keep anything at bay is now gone.
Oh yeah, church is no longer a safe sanctuary.
Right. We need to find either Polly or
We must find Goro.
Goro.
Better get Goro in there. Yeah.
Yeah, we
have
need to find them.
Goro.
Possibly Mad Mary too, right? Out of character, because Mad Mary was also a former church member as well. So,
Do you
Assuming they
know?
told us about that.
yeah, well, that's to say it's all out of
Yeah.
character, but yeah.
Do you know where they went? I look at Stosh.
That's a great place. That's a great place to cut, right? The camera immediately cuts back over to the situation. Mad Mary's going to survive. No worries there, Goro. But for you, I want the wicked D6 roll. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right.
Is it just 1d6?
Just 1d6.
1d6. It's a 1.
Oh,
Woof.
Wow.
Would you like to come back as Mad Mary? Trading one character for another. I'll let you at least narrate your death. You can go out a hero if you want.
Yeah, I mean, I'm basically like dragging her, kicking and struggling out of this thing, and the wet cloth falls away from my mouth, and I don't have the hands to pull it back up, and I inhale a huge gout of smoke on my way out, and I drag her out, lay her on the street, and I'm like choking, and I look up at her and I'm like, well, at least I did one good thing.
Nice. And I think actually, as you lay there dying, that's when she breaks out of her stupor, right?
Mm-hmm.
When she realizes who you are, and she probably says something about you came for me. Oh, I can't believe you came for me. And then she just begins crying. And Polly, you probably find the scene here, Polly. Polly, what do you do?
Yeah, so I mean, I was up there. I was trying to get that woman. I just couldn't. And the smoke is in my eyes. They're tearing up. I come piling out the window and see the worst thing, Goro, on the ground, not moving. I rush over to him, push this woman aside, and I put my hands on him. Wake up, wake up. And he's not moving. He's still. And Polly just is on his knees. He puts his head down on your stomach and is just quietly crying.
Oh,
Yeah. Ooh boy. All right. Boy, we're claiming characters left and right in Ravenloft. Well, I think you should probably take note of your gear, because I'm sure they're going to like raid your body, or maybe if Mad Mary becomes your new character, she will raid your body. She's probably legally entitled to all of your property. So, if you want to take it to the Burgomaster. Oh wait, and so that's a thing. Yeah. So, what kind of character do you want to roll up, Annika?
I don't know. I could be Mad Mary. That seems not unreasonable.
Yeah, if you do Mad Mary, all you'll have to do is just you can just keep all your equipment the way it is, because everything she owned is burned down, right? So you can keep your equipment the way it is, and you just have to redo decide what her class is, and re-roll your stats and all that stuff. So
Okay.
Choose new skills. Everybody else, including you, because you always get your unspent XP, and so unfortunately you do not have a chance to level. So, but you get everybody gets 250 from that sequence. Ivor, how bad do you feel now that you've murdered so many people this day? Inadvertently.
Only murdered 2. It's like everything they say about magic is actually true.
It's true. Yeah, yeah. We just had a conversation on the certain realities about
Yeah.
the dangers of miscast magic, right? I love miscast magic. Yeah, so assuming that you guys are still going to try to make the church your sanctuary somehow, are you going to have a cleric? Annika, what is Mad Mary going to be?
Sure, she can be a cleric. She used to be in the church.
Okay.
She's
You've established.
son.
Yeah, you've established she was a nun or something like that, right? So,
Yeah.
So maybe this end, maybe like seeing her dead son broke her stupor. Maybe she grabs his holy symbol. Maybe she reclaims her faith, right? That's a great storyline. So if Mad Mary will protect the place through prayer, you guys can go ahead and level up. You can reroll your hit points and do all that stuff. Let's just take a minute to do that so that Annika has time to build Mad Mary. I'm gonna go grab a drink of water. So you could stay on the call or not, but I'll be back in a couple minutes. So. All right. Let's just have a scene with Mad Mary being introduced to the group. Anaket, whenever you've got your stats and stuff.
Yeah, everything's done but flags. So
Okay, cool. What does she look like?
she's very wiry, maybe a little bit malnourished looking, but somehow muscular despite that. And
She has a 2 strength.
well, yeah,
Yeah. Inner fortitude.
but no constitution. She has sort of white bleached hair, like you might see in someone that's experienced trauma, but she doesn't look like old enough for it to have been through age. And she has kind of wild eyes. And she's got kind of like a forceful personality, but she's also a little like half there, a little bit flighty at times.
I noticed that you have a little note here that says determined to get revenge for her dead son. In the module as well, that name that she mentioned, Gertruda, that's your daughter you had while you were in Barovia, and she's gone missing. She left one day, went up to the castle, has not come back. So
Okay.
this was a few weeks ago. So
And find her lost daughter.
but let's just have the scene with you maybe following Polly to the church. I mean, and Polly, you got to break the news to the group.
Yeah, well, we've got to bring his body to the church, right? We can't just leave it here in the street.
Fair
You know
enough.
what happens in this town? Help me, woman. He's big. You're strong.
Just give me a moment. This is my son, you know.
I did not know. Oh, you must be. Are you married?
I have to. Yeah. I guess Mad Mary is a good enough name. Yes. And you must be one of my son's incompetent companions that was unable to protect him, sent him into that house all alone.
Goro was my friend. I think you would consider me a friend too.
Some friend.
I didn't know him long.
Well, yes. Let's get him to the
help
church.
me. Oh.
Yes, exactly, Jason. Okay. Yeah, I'll drag him over to the church with you, or lift him if we can. He's a little tubby.
I'm really small, but I'll do my best to help.
I'm bearing most of the weight here, is what you're saying.
Maybe you guys could get Stash and Courage. Maybe Stash, because Stash was one of the original trio, right? You guys can get his body to the church. Let's just have the scene with you all together at the church then.
So you were my Goro's companions, and I'm sure you had very important business that kept you away from his side when he was in that burning building. Yes.
I shoot a glance at Stosh.
Yeah, I think even before that comes out, Stosh just kind of falls to his knees and at the corpse, and he's just got a hand on the shoulder, and he's just not saying anything and just looking down at Goro's body, and but you can tell he's actually crying. Yeah, there's some tears.
Stash, you knew Goro the longest. I would ask you, in what ways would you memorialize him right now or honor his passing?
I'm not even sure, Stash, I'm not even sure I'm capable of that right now. I'm just kind of like racked with guilt. Yeah, just maybe muttering under my breath, saying I should have stopped him, or I should have been there, or something. but it's fairly perceptible.
Ivor, do you have a sense of what happened here?
Oh yeah. So I think on seeing Goro's body, I just sort of sink to my knees again, but it's not like when I saw Father explode with the front of the church blown away. It's more like, oh my God, this is even worse. But I don't think I know what to say because so I think I'm just kind of on my knees looking at Goro's body, completely at a loss for what to say or do. Because I'm kind of searching for a way to sort of like undo the last like 10 minutes magically. If I could just magically get one of the spirits to turn time back for 10 minutes, we will work this all out and it will not have happened. But I know that won't work. So unsure of what to do magically or lore wise. I don't have a good sense of how to tell somebody's mother that it's your fault their child died.
Indeed. Irina will come up to you, Quirash, and she'll say, "This is very sad, but we don't have time for this. We must go. With these dead, this is no longer a safe place. We cannot stay here. The forces of darkness will attack viciously, relentlessly, knowing that there's no holy person here to protect it."
I agree, and we need to know. I mean, we can't just rush off into the dark. We need some kind of plan. I know that from what I investigated at your house, at your mansion, that Strahd travels in some kind of reddish mist form, which could really come from anywhere. Do we have any ideas of where he came from, or are we just going to wander out in the forest?
She says he is almost certainly at the top of the peak. With the peak, this church sits at the base of. We cannot see it for the mists, but if we head forward, continue going north out of the village, we can find a way. Perhaps the Vistani, perhaps someone else can show us the way. But I have no doubt getting to the castle is just a matter of having a desire to do so.
And I look kind of pointedly at Ivor and say, but to Irina I say, well, apparently Strahd has the ability to use the weather against us, as we just saw. So how are we supposed to protect ourselves against this? Our clergyman is dead. And I'm saying this loud enough so that pretty much everyone can hear. Do we go to the Vistani and ask one of them? How do we protect ourselves against lightning from the sky?
The lightning from the sky will not be returning.
And what makes you so sure?
Because as I told you, that spirit is not controlled by Strahd anymore. It's reacting against Strahd.
Look, I don't know what this lightning in the sky is all about, but what's this? The priest is dead?
The
Is that what you're
priest is
telling
dead.
me?
The lightning struck the church and took the priest.
Well, it's been 15 years since I last prayed, but I think I still remember how to do it. Bring me to the altar. I can give us a safe place to rest for the night, I'm sure.
And indeed, you just need a couple hours, right, to catch your breath and stuff. I put a picture of Irina on the image board in case anybody wants to see what she looks like. She's very 80s. Got a bit of a Joan Collins thing going on, really. And yeah, so you guys have a couple of hours to kill in the church to tend your wounds, to figure out a plan. Irina's plan is very simple. She intends to use herself as some sort of bait for Strahd, and once he's baited, the rest of you finish the job. So that's her plan. But you guys might have other ideas.
Wait, why is Strahd pursuing you?
I don't know. I wish I knew. Why do the forces of darkness do anything they do in the world, Evil? Why does plague choose to take an innocent child and yet lets a moneylender survive? Why are good people killed in wars? I don't know the answers to these questions. Evil has no... There are no answers. You can't control terrible forces. You can't hope to understand them. To do so is folly, don't you think?
I don't think it's ever unwise to try to understand why things happen.
Perhaps not, but it is unwise to go one step further beyond mere understanding. Don't you think?
What would you like us to do to protect you? You're using yourself as bait.
Once I draw him close, use the weapons that my father gave you and send him back to the bowels of hell. In the middle of this little rest, who is that?
My son's practicing in the background.
It's an unnerving thing, right? Because windows are shattered in the church, and so wind is kind of whistling through. It's drafty. The light is dying. Eventually, you just have, just candles that were in the church, and Mary, that you guys are not going to be able to stay for much longer. Even eventually your prayers are not going to be enough. You can feel, all of you can feel evil trying to get inside. I want to know, just to paint the scene a little bit, go around the table and tell us how your character knows that the forces of evil in their way are slamming up against the bulkheads right now, desperate to get in the church. Whoever wants to go first.
I'll go. I think we hear wolves howling in the distance, and every 30 minutes or so they get closer and louder, and I don't know about the others, but I know at least within me, I'm getting a little antsy and kind of like I want to howl with them.
Nice. Madberry.
Yeah, I think as I'm trying to concentrate on this ritual, I can hear sort of like whispers trying to distract me, trying to break my concentration, and they're slowly getting louder, and I'm starting to feel like fingers on my neck and like phantom sensations.
Stosh.
I think Stosh has been pacing about the church, and he at one point comes upon like some sort of font where like maybe they, it's just the source of holy water, and thinking to maybe take some with him. He goes over to it, and when he looks in there, it's filled with blood. It's not water at all.
Nice. Polly.
So Paul is really concerned with Goro's body and keeping his friend from coming back. He's heard stories of iron, like a piece of iron anywhere, especially in the mouth, on the tongue, can prevent that. So he's looking around, their nails holding the floorboards down. He's scratching, trying to get a nail up. He's finding a little piece of stone or fragment of glass and trying to peel it up, and he cuts himself, and the blood just it's like a revelation to him that it's not just a cut, it's this living thing that he feels something or someone is drawn to.
Ivor.
So I think what I'm sitting near Goro's body, watching Polly sort of kind of tend to it, and I'm doing the thing I did for Feller, which is lay the coins over the eyes, and I'm looking around for a piece of wood that I can use to kind of bind Goro to the earth to try to prevent him from rising as a member of the undead, and I'm also remembering that this is probably stupid and superstitious, and this is just silly. And then I look up to where the altar is, and the caved in bits of probably gilded wood that are left of the altar that are charred and black. And I see the demon child Hinty, one of my demons, sitting inside the altar, just trying to act like she's hiding from whatever is outside, knowing she was once one of Strods' spirits.
Good. After a time, Irina will say, "This place is no longer safe. We must go. We must get back on the Old Svalich Road, travel through the North Wood, and make our way up the mountain." And she says, "Those of you who still have the fullness of your courage, follow me. Those of you who feel like the day is lost, may the blessings of the gods be upon you." And then she turns and leaves out the front door.
Polly's close behind her to the door and pauses to look over his shoulder. He's sure everyone's coming. And then he disappears out the door.
I'm gonna go after and encourage everyone else to follow.
I'm walking swiftly to catch up to Irina.
I'll pause by Goro's body and give him a kiss on the forehead and say, I'm glad I got to meet you, finally, and walk out.
I think Stosh is just gonna take one last like mournful look around the whole church and never want to come back here again, and just also kind of determined not to let anybody go on by themselves, and he's gonna hurry after everyone.
I'm gonna read some things from the module. As you are leaving the church, making your way back to the main road that leads out of the village of Barovia, one of you will look back and you will see from the cemetery attached to the church, you will see a ghostly procession of warriors, wizards, people in religious vestments, lots of people in religious vestments, adventurers, hunters, just like you. A ghostly procession walking from the cemetery, climbing the peak, going up the peak to Strods Castle to try to finish their mission. And you are all on the road. If you look at the map, you'll kind of see how it goes here. You're going to cross over a bridge as you leave the village. You kind of cut south a little bit, and heading generally in a westerly direction, I should say. I thought it was north, it's west. You'll go over this little bridge over the river. You'll continue through the Svalage woods a little bit, and you will have to avoid, when you get to the little fork in the road, you'll have to avoid the left passage because of the mists. Irina will not take you through the mists if you're following her. And then it goes on for some time, and we'll talk about what it all means. But well, I guess you have to go through the mists a little bit at some point. But anyway, neither here nor there. In any case, I need to look at my notes and confirm what exactly is going to happen next. Look at the module for a minute. I'm going to roll a die of fate for as you're crossing the river. It's a 3. And Polly, as you're crossing the river, and the river it's a running river. It's a pretty wide rushing river. You're going to catch in the corner of your eye a glimmer of silver. Wedged in between rocks at the bottom of the river, you see a silver piece here and there. A little further up the river, you see where they might be coming from. A body, waterlogged, bloated, trapped within a wedged into some rocks, right? Kind of hunkered over them, right? What do you do?
Well, I stop for a second and look, and then I look around. Where's my friend Stosh?
It's now nighttime,
Stosh.
just FYI. It's nighttime now.
I go and get your attention, Stosh, and I point out what I see. Look, there's a body out there, and it's got silver, just like the bodies on the road. I think Goro would want us to go and get that silver.
Yeah, initially Stash is kind of like nodding, but as soon as you mentioned Goro, he just kind of shakes his head and he says, maybe on the way back down. Maybe this isn't the best time.
Oh, my smile just falls away at that. But Goro would want us. Look, remember the good fortune we had on the road?
What
It's here again. We're back on the road.
Goro would want to still be alive. Goro would want us to be alive. I mean, it's why risk it? It's dangerous to go down there. I mean, who knows? Who knows what could happen?
Kurash, you're here to get
I
paid.
turned it.
Yeah, Kurash is here to get paid. You might even overhear a little bit. You might even hear the word silver pieces.
Yeah, definitely. I can hear silver pieces being talked about. How many are we talking here? Pele sharp-eyed.
I don't know, but I imagine it's a whole bag. We found 2, or was it 3 bags of silver on the road, on the Dracolich Road into town? Maybe the road is just lucky.
I mean, it sounds like it is lucky. I mean, what do you think there, Mary?
I've gone without money for this amount of time. I think I can go without money for another few days just to hurry us on our way. But if you must, go ahead.
I don't think.
Well, I have this rope. I can tie it off around you, and I can belay you or whatever you need, and we can maybe turn a little profit here.
Is there a cliff going down to the river, or can we walk along?
You could just wade into the water. Yeah. You have to. By the time you get to him, you might be like kind of waist or chest high, but yeah. But you can.
Does it look like there's a current or anything on this river?
Yeah, that's what wedged him in the rocks. Like it just kind of pushed him in. So,
yeah. So I would still recommend tying a rope around your waist.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I guess when I see you start to move, like you're actually going to do this, and I'm just gonna say I'm going with you.
I'm not gonna let Polly go alone. This is an adorable kid.
Oh shucks.
Arena, for her part, says you're on your own. We don't need silver. We need. We need the blessings of the gods.
We also need Polly and his numerous gifts.
At her mention of silver, I tap the silver spike on my belt.
Indeed. True. Touche. All
right. How are we going to do
this?
this?
You're tying off, and you're going to wade into the river, and Stosh is going with you, it sounds like.
I can do an anchor on one end so that I'm ready to pull them back should they lose their footing.
Okay, sounds good.
If they're tied off.
Yeah. Right, so it sounds like the 3 of you. So are 3 of you going into the river, like Kurash, Stosh, and Polly, or what does it look like here?
If I can't get good footing to sort of how to hold them to kind of keep the rope in place on the bank, then I'll have to get in the river. But I prefer to, not be wet.
Okay, so Ivor's the anchor. Polly's going in. Stosh and Kurash, where are you guys at?
I'm sticking close to Polly.
Okay.
And my plan was to be an anchor as well.
Okay, all right, so that's good. So that's good. And Mad Mary can jump in there in Arena too if it comes to it, right? Polly, you and Stosh are going out. The water is damn cold, really, really cold, and you're and you're eventually getting out there, and it gets up to about like about navel high or so, and this waterlogged body is there. Polly, you see it. You see his coin purse. The coin purse is there. It's open at the mouth, but you see the glint of silver. There's still plenty in there. What do you do?
Is there a branch in the
Sure.
creek by any chance?
Yeah, sure.
Right up. I'll make my way over to something to a stick and either break it off or cut it off with my little knife.
Yeah.
And then use that to steady myself and get closer to the body, and then poke the body, and then try to lift the coins off on the end of the stick.
As you
Lift
do
the
so,
pouch off.
the body, its hand reaches up and grabs the stick, and then it raises its head, and its white fish belly, white bloated face, its mouth like opens up, and just nasty black water kind of like just sluices out, and it just sort of like wrenches itself and is like kind of trying to flop out of the rocks and grab at you. What do you do?
I try to push it back with the stick and look to Stosh to get in there and get the pouch.
So you're gonna try to like basically keep it at bay while Stosh grabs the money.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Give me a strength roll to keep it at bay.
Come on, mouse. That'd be 4.
Or you're trying to hold it back, and a pair of arms rises up out of the river and grabs you from behind and pulls you under. Stosh, you just saw Polly go under. What do you do?
Yeah, I'm going after him. I'm gonna try and grab him and just,
And that other one is still flopping, trying to get at you guys too. So
yeah, I mean, it's well, we have a rope on Polly.
yeah,
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I was going to say, is this time for us to just start
I
hauling
think
them
it's time
back?
for you to start
Yeah.
hauling. Yeah.
So yeah, I guess it's
there.
for Stosh. It's sword time with the fellow who's groping at me.
Okay.
I'm the stronger of the two of us. Since both of us are sort
you-
of anchoring.
You can roll it too. You can roll it. Then if you there's not I've never really done A in World of Dungeons, but we'll do A
Yeah.
if it makes sense. So
Okay.
if you get like within 1. So.
All right.
I also have athletics, so
Oh yeah, he can't fail because he has athletics.
Yeah, I have athletics
Okay.
as well,
Okay.
but I've got right at 6. So if there's something that will tip me over the edge, it may be a little less traumatic. But both of us are trained in athletics, so
Yeah. If you don't want to do the athletics bit, athletics will put you 7. Let's just do it at 7 to 9. I'm not gonna make this more complicated than it has to be. So you'll be able to wrench Polly free, no problem. You're gonna bring Polly and the zombie with you.
okay.
to where you're at. Stosh, meanwhile, this other one has like unwedged itself and is like clambering towards you. What do you do?
Yeah, it's I'm just attacking it.
Okay, go for it. Full
yeah.
strength.
All right, so that is a 7.
Nice. I think what's going to happen here is roll your damage. If you do enough to kill it, I'm going to let you kill it. If you don't, he's going to grab you and pull you under.
All right, so
you need to do 6. So
did 4 points of damage.
okay, not enough. But you do 4 points of damage. Describe your hit. What does it look like?
Yeah, just like a big overhand swing with the sword, and it kind of just like sinks into the thing's shoulder, and it's my sword is kind of stuck there for a moment before I can wrench it free. And
I think Yeah, and I think that's when he uses his like bulk to like basically press up against you and kind of like pushes you down. Okay.
Mhm.
Meanwhile, Mad Mary, just at the outset, what are you doing? Like, when you see kind of what's going on.
I'm disappointed by my new friends, but I'm also I have a rope in my pack as well, and I'll see if I can throw it to one of the people struggling in the river to try and stabilize them.
Okay, nice. Okay, good. So, what this looks like for Kurash and Ivor is you find you're pulling, and you have I think you have the benefit of the river current as well, so it's not quite as difficult as it would be. And it's all going fine. And it's all going fine. They pull you up. Polly, you come up. You grasp. You do the classic like, grabbing your air. And Polly is there like, and then this thing just like comes up right with you. It's just a villager, a waterlogged dead villager coming up out of the water. He's kind of right there among the three of you. Well, and Mad Mary too. Kurash, what do you do?
I step right forward into this onrushing zombie and just smack it in the face with my shield.
Nice little shield bash. Roll plus strength.
Hold on a second. That is an 11.
Nice. Are you trying to destroy it or kill it or just knock it into the river?
I'm really trying to take it out.
Okay.
Like, it's showing a lot of chutzpah.
Indeed.
Trying to take it out.
Roll your damage.
That is for a shield bash. Is that just 1d6? I assume.
I don't know. Do they list a?
They don't. I was just doing it for flavor.
Oh yeah. Well, just what's your principal weapon? What does it do?
Which is 1d6.
All right. Let's just make it a d6 then.
That is only 2.
Okay. You bash it. It's there. It's still doing its thing. Awesome. Stosh, you're underneath the water. This thing is on top of you. It's just like trying to hold you there and drown you, basically. What do you do?
I'm just trying to just stab the life out of it while I still can still act.
Yeah. Go for it. If you're just trying to just use brute strength to cut through it, roll plus strength.
It's another 7.
Okay. I think you are definitely going to roll your damage, so go ahead and do that.
So it's another 4.
Okay, that's enough to kill it. And in the struggle, I think you take a lungful of water for a d6, no armor.
All right. So 4 points of damage.
Okay. But just give me the scene, like kind of what does it all look like and when you destroy it?
So I guess it's just it's the bubbles everywhere, and they're just like a frantic movement of my arm, just stabbing at this thing, and the water goes kind of like cloudy as the ichor and everything from this thing oozes out as it finally loses animation, and it just kind of slowly floats away.
Do you grab the coins?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that was the first thing on my mind. So yeah.
Figured I'd give you the opportunity. Since that was the point of what you guys were doing. Ivor, zombie, Crush comes up, smashes it in the head. What do you do?
Crush smashed it in the head, but it didn't really go anywhere.
Yeah,
it's still sort of coming right at us.
It's still coming right at Crush now.
And Stosh seems to be okay on the downstream.
It's a little unclear, but probably
okay,
it's probably a little unclear. Yeah.
So I think I let go of the rope and just stab into it with my 2 daggers.
Nice. Full strength.
1 sec. That is a 10.
Nice. Roll your damage.
Yeah, 1 sec.
You're surprisingly martial wizard.
Yeah. Yeah, except for that, my best of 2 damage is 2.
Yeah, still not enough to take him out. Well, you have a chance, Mad Mary. Let's see Mad Mary in action.
All right, I guess I'm taking a swing with my mace. At the
Your dead son's mace.
Yes.
Don't talk to me or my dead son's mace ever again.
That's also a 10.
Nice. Roll your damage. You only have to do 2 to kill it.
I got a 4.
Nice. Okay, so I want this scene for sure because you got this warrior who's there doing his thing, and you've got this other guy who's maybe not as much of a warrior, but they're like 2 on 1, and they're not able to take it out. But you do. What do you do?
So I think I'm like Stosh is still in the river, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like holding on to that rope with one hand, and I look back and I see this zombie staggering around, and I pull out the mace and smack it in the head, and it collapses, and I'm like, I thought I was supposed to be preserving life as a priest, but I guess roles change over time, don't they, warriors?
There was 100 silver in the pouch, so
Yeah, totally worth it. Yeah, I guess Stosh, where are we at the point where I'm coming out of the river? Or
yeah.
Yeah, I'm just crawling out of the river, just like coughing up water, and I just kind of just like reach forward and just like thunk the sack, the coin purse down, and then just like roll onto my back and breathe.
Polly sees how small the pack is and
Hey,
crawls over to the edge of the bridge and is looking down at those other coins that are in the water. You can see him mentally, he's counting them, wondering if it's worth going back in to get the rest.
Indeed. All right. I like how all the coins you find are in like perfect denominations of 100, right? Like, no matter what. I think I'm going under the assumption that you collect all the strays too, right? So, okay. I think Arena is getting a little fed up with the situation, and she's just like shakes her head and just marches forward along the trail. There's no time to waste. It just goes forward. Well, so we've got 30 minutes left in the session. This would be a great chance for you guys to check flags and confirm that you've hit one. If not, you might want to call for a scene while we're on the road here to make sure you hit one, because that's a good XP reward. But while you guys do that, while you take a look at that, I'm going to roll Die of Fate to see how the rest of the journey is going to go for you guys.
I think I might have a scene with Ivor.
Good.
Okay.
Die of Fate was a 3, by the way, for the rest of the journey. Go for it. Frame it up. What does it look like?
So there were these like bramble type arrows that we found in the house,
Right.
where we encountered all those vampires. I guess I'll as we're walking up the hill, or on the trail, I'll pull one out and I'll just hand it to Ivor and say, what can you tell me about this? Might this be useful in the conflict ahead? The look of it is it's certainly, it looks like it wasn't crafted by maybe not even mundane means, or if it was by some sort of master artisan.
I kind of hold it up so they look kind of brambly, very wooden.
Yeah, they're like the shafts. Like they look like normal arrows for most of it. As they get to the end, the shaft turns into like a twisty, thorned vine almost, right?
Right. So kind of hold it up to the moonlight and study it for a moment. And the part that looks like a vine, I kind of like kind of poke at with a fingernail just to see how it moves and what it does. And it's not got any metal on it, does it?
No, there wouldn't.
Okay, so it's almost like just solid wood
Mhm.
and with these kind of brambly ends.
It's like carved to look like that, right?
Oh, okay. Right,
Yeah.
gotcha. So I'm trying to think whether elves, druids,
Mhm.
some other kind of ancient weird faith.
Trying to figure out what the work is. Yeah.
Yeah, really evil halflings.
Roll plus intelligence.
All right. That is a 6, but I'm trained in lore.
Oh, okay, good. All right.
I am not using pip die anymore tonight.
I'm going to tell you what they are
Okay.
and what they do. And someone at the table, not you, is going to say what the negative consequence of using them is. Okay.
Mhm.
The arrows are basically, they're designed to kill ghosts. Shoot the arrow at a ghost, it can pierce a ghost. Ghosts are otherwise very difficult to slay with mundane weapons, right? Who wants to say what the terrible fallback or terrible not fallback terrible blowback or curse or otherwise nasty business when using them? I'll take all ideas and we'll settle on one.
Yeah, I have an idea. I would say maybe as soon as you loose these from a bow, they kind of like shriek and
make a lot of noise.
totally, and even more so when they actually make contact with a real ghost. Like there's like almost like a thunderclap as they pass from existence.
That's pretty good. Any other thoughts?
Slay ghosts. They've got to weigh heavily on your soul. So maybe if you've used them, when you come to that last breath roll, it's affected somehow. Your soul is more wanting to
You're
get
vulnerable.
away.
Yeah, you're vulnerable. I like that. That's good. Any other thoughts?
I was gonna say, since they're carved with the bramble pattern, after you fire them, brambles kind of sprout from your lower limbs and root you in place for a little bit.
Oh, they hold you there. Oh, that's
Yeah.
interesting. Well, Mad Mary, what do you think? Or Anakin, I should say. What do you think?
I mean, I was thinking something more along the lines of it like liberates. Sorry, there's talking in the background, but it liberates this spirit, but like using them may attract other spirits' attention over time, related to like the noise idea.
Yeah. I'm going to take a amalgamation of these things. I think what the downside is, and I want to know how you know all this, Ivor. The downside is you fire off the arrow, you hit the ghost. When you kill a ghost with one, when you destroy a ghost with one, the brambles do come up, they do grab you, they do hold you in place, and then an emissary from the spirit realm will whisper in your ear a number of tantalizing possibilities about how you might die. And so then there will be mechanical consequences for knowing all the different things that were whispered in your ear.
So at some point, did you suggest who might have made them?
No, you can inform all of that.
Okay, yeah. So I think there was a druidic cult, a nature cult, who were very devoted to keeping the dead in the ground, and not allowing people to live past their lifespans. Very sort of fate driven, and fatalistic. And I think I'm not exactly certain exactly. We have mechanically know what the arrows do. I don't think I can describe exactly what the arrows do, but I can talk about the kind of things that their magics did when they discovered Walking Ghost. Because there's stories even of a like ghost that you might want to see, a ghost of a former lover, a ghost that a medium might summon or a diviner might summon, and these sort of druidic warriors, no matter what the ghost purpose was or how innocent the ghost was, tortured and killed the ghost in the following way. So I think it's all old stories.
Nice. Yeah. And then you could be telling these stories, I guess. You tell these stories as you guys are walking along. Good. Terrific.
I have way too many footnotes.
Any more flag scenes?
I would. One second. I think I want one with Stash. Because I want to talk about sort of the vulnerabilities I bring to the party. Because I think Karash confronted me about those, but Stash has not said anything yet. So as we walk along, I want to have a conversation with Stash since we're already sort of conversing. Though I'm not sure how you'll address it in the immediate term. But I think as I'm looking at these and telling you about the arrows that you found, I segue into talking a little bit about how magic is done, and where demons come from and what spirits are. And I confess to you that the spirits I'm in a pact with were made demons by Strahd. I suspect they were once human. I suspect they were once children, and there is no telling how my magic will act when it confronts Strahd, their former master. But if they do not confront their former master, they may never escape from this kind of demonic entrapment that they're in.
I think as you're kind of like revealing this, Stash is like initially just like dumbfounded, and at a certain point he just blurts out that he just looks directly at Ivor, and he says, "You mean you were saying that your magic is derived from demonic children that were once in the service of the vampire we are going to kill at this moment, or at least attempting?"
All of my magic comes from these two spirits. And when I began to look into them, everything led me back to Strahd, and everything Irina's told me suggests that he is the one who made them.
And can we even trust them? I mean, I'm not sure we even can. I mean, just based on what happened back at the church. I mean,
and not only at the church.
Maybe take it easy on the magic. I mean,
let's just chill out on the magic.
Yeah, unless it's dire. But even in that case, I fear what could actually happen.
I will only call on them in consultation. But if things become desperate, I don't know what else I will be able to do.
That's fair.
All right. Any other final scenes as we're walking through the woods? I personally was hoping somebody would interrupt Mad Mary while she's talking to people no one can see. I could maybe do it with Arena, I suppose, but yeah, whatever. Fantastic. As you guys are making your way, if you're looking at the map here, I'm going to just find some kind of advancing us a little bit up to area, like area G on the map there. Say you guys took the right fork because Arena insisted on it, and you guys are kind of going towards that area. And the canopy of mist and branches overhead suddenly gives way to black clouds boiling far above. There is a clearing here. Dry, brittle grass rustles in the biting wind. On the far side of the clearing are several colorful wagons parked on the banks of a pool. The mournful strains of an accordion mix meekly with the moaning of the wind. Several brightly clad figures surround a large, roaring fire. The road seems to pass close by this camp. And here there are a group of people. The module unhelpfully refers to them as gypsies. It was published in the 80s. But we're going to call them Vistani because that's what they were called later in the setting. You may know Vistani, you may not. They do get out of the lands of Barovia from time to time. And this mournful accordion music, it will stop. There's about a dozen of them. And they'll just eye you warily. And Irina will say, "Is Madame Eva available?" And one of the Vistani men says, "Yes, she has been expecting you, all of you, for some time." And Irina goes and sits by their fire. She's offered a plate of food, which she begins to eat. I'm just going to go around the table and find out what you're each doing. Ivor.
I think I'm by the fire, sort of kind of picking at food, but not really eating much, and sort of watching Irina to see what she does and who this Madame Eva is.
At a certain point, Irina will get up and she'll go into, there's a tent there, which is like kind of the purple and black silks.
Mm-hmm.
And she'll go in, and she's in there for some time. Stosh, what about you?
Stosh is getting close to the fire. I went for an unplanned swim, and he's, some food is offered, he'll eagerly accept it and maybe give them a couple coins in exchange for it.
Nice. Polly?
Well, when we first saw the wagons, there was a bolt of fear went through Polly. You could see it. He thought it was the wagon of the witch. But then, obviously, there were too many of them. There were more people. It looks a little familiar to him. In fact, physically, Polly looks like these Vistani. He is a Vistani, even though he may not have seen a Vistani since he was an infant.
Right.
So this is all very strange to him. He can look at his hand. and look at the people around him. He's being very polite, but also kind of like following people around and peeking into wagons and trying to understand how these people fit in with him. He
Yeah.
might like, yeah.
No, it's good. It's good. Kurash, what about you?
I'm mainly just kind of keeping my eyes out. I'm not terribly familiar with the Vistani, haven't really had any interactions with them, and just I don't know what to expect from these people. Irina seems to trust them, and so far Irina's been mostly okay, so I'm cautiously optimistic right now.
Indeed. And Mad Mary.
I think I'm eating and sort of like socializing a little bit, and then at some point, if you're paying attention, you'll notice me chatting animatedly with nobody by the side of the fire, talking about just like it's as if there's a person there that I trust and I'm telling about our recent adventures to.
Nice. Good.
I would like to interrupt you there. Not hit the flag, but I actually have something. Mary, you've been in this town. You live here, right? And it's not safe at the church. It's not safe in the homes. Why is it safe here in this camp? Do you know?
Polly, it's rude to interrupt me when I'm talking to someone. And I finish up my thought and then turn back to you. And I say, now then, that is an interesting question, isn't it? These don't seem to be particularly religious people. Perhaps that's something we should find out while we're here. Perhaps their secret would prove useful to us.
Indeed. Irina, just to wrap up our session here, Irina steps out and says to all of you, Madam Ava wishes to read your fortune. She said she has seen much in the future, and she bids you all enter her tent now to receive her wisdom. And then Irina pulls the flap of the tent there. Do you all go in?
I will.
Yes. Maybe this is how they're safe.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes, definitely.
Within the tent, all is dimly illuminated in pools of red light. A small, low table stands across from the doorway, covered in a black velvet cloth. Glints of light seem to flash from a crystal ball on the table as a figure peers into its depths. This figure stands up, Madame Ava, presumably. You can't see her face. She's wearing like a sort of like a gold frame headpiece, like a crown, and draped over it are a number of veils. Right? There's a number of veils draped over it in different colors. So you just see this silk drapery over her face and head. You see her hands and her legs and everything else. And she moves over first to Ivor, and she puts her hands, which are soft, smooth, and brown, and touches your cheeks. And she says, "Your deeds are known to me." Then she moves and then she takes off a veil, and she presses a red veil into your hand. Now she has a purple veil. She moves over to Stosh, and she removes the purple veil, revealing another veil beneath. Presses it into your hands, Stosh, and says, "Your deeds are known to me." And she moves to Mad Mary, removes her next veil, a yellow veil, revealing another veil. Her smooth hand touches your cheek. She presses the veil into your hands, and she says, "Sister, your deeds are known to me." And she moves to Kurash. She removes the next veil, an orange veil, revealing a black veil that she's wearing. She presses that veil into your hands. Kurash touches your cheek with her soft hands, and she says, "Your deeds are known to me." And then she steps to Polly, and she reaches out her bony, withered hands and grabs your cheeks and clenches them tight, wrapping her fingers, which are very long, around the back of your neck. And her black veil falls away, and a look of terror spreads across Polly's face as she says, "Your deeds are known to me." And we cut right there. All right.
Yikes!
I'm going to stop the broadcast.